what Epstein did was this. He had a ring of underage girls that would go ahead and come to his place in Palm Beach. What he would do, guys, is he would bring girls to this place. He would get these girls to come and give massages to him and his friends. And then what he did was he had a ring of these girls where he would say, hey, look, recruit your friend, get some other girls here that could do this. And he would pay them hundreds of dollars to give massages to himself and his friends, his powerful billionaire friends. Now, you guys might be wondering, how the f did Jeffrey Epstein get access to these people? I'll tell you how. Let's talk about Epstein, chat. All right, so let's go ahead and go back in time a little bit for you guys to understand this. Okay, so when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, guys, Jeffrey Epstein was an intelligence asset for the Israeli government. Okay, whether it was Mossad, Shin Bet, Unit 8200, whatever, we don't know exactly, but let's just assume maybe it was Mossad. All right? So the goal here was to acquire technology for Israel. And for those of you that are confused by this, don't be confused, because Israel's been stealing technology from us for many years, many decades, okay, and stealing information from us. Some of the worst spying we've ever had happen where our national security was compromised was conducted by Israelis, namely this guy right here, Jonathan Pollard. I'll show you guys what I mean. And by the way, this guy's in Israel now, and he got a full pardon from Donald Trump, right? But this guy was one of the worst spies ever. Sold our secrets. Right, in 1984, Pollard sold numerous state secrets, including National Security Agency's 10-volume manual on how the U.S. gathers its signal intelligence and disclosed the names of tens of thousands of people who had cooperated with the U.S. intelligence agencies. He was apprehended in 1985 and in a subsequent proceeding agreed to pleaded guilty to spying for and providing top-secret classified information in Israel. Pollard admitted shopping his services successfully in some cases to other countries. In 1987, he was sentenced to life in prison for the violation of the Espionage Act. Right, but what happened? Powell was released on November 20th, 2015 in accordance with federal guidelines at the time of his sentencing. On November 20th, 2020, his parole expired and all restrictions were eliminated. On December 30th, 2020, Pollard and his second wife relocated to Israel and settled in Jerusalem. Why? Because they lobbied for him to get released. A spy. One of the worst spies in American history. I would argue the worst spy in American history. Right? So, he ends up getting this fucking pardon, right? Now, and I say that to tell you guys that this proves my point that this isn't the first time that we've had spies operating on U.S. soil. So let's go back in time a little bit. Now that we know who Epstein was, how did he come to make this blackmail ring? Well, if you go back to the early 2000s and 90s, what Epstein did was this. He had a ring of underage girls that would go ahead and come to his place and wash in Palm Beach, right? And we are going to go ahead and look at the residence right here. I'll show you guys. If we go ahead and we say Jeff Epstein house, this was in New York. This was the Zara Ranch in New Mexico. This is the island in Virgin Islands. And then here we go, 385 El Brillo Way. This was the old house. And I think they knocked it down, chat, if I'm not mistaken. I think they knocked it down. But this was one of the main residences. And what he would do, guys, is he would bring girls to this place, underage girls that were in the high school area, and I covered this in my Fed Reacts episode in detail, but what he would do is he would get these girls to come, high school girls, and give massages to him and his friends. And then what he did was he had a ring of these girls where he would say, hey, look, recruit your friend, get some other girls here that could do this, and he would pay them hundreds of dollars, $100 here, $200 here, $300 there, to give massages to himself and his friends, right? His powerful billionaire friends. Now, you guys might be wondering, how the fuck did Jeffrey Epstein get access to these people? I'll tell you how. You're going to have to go ahead and figure out who his financer was. And it was this guy right here, Les Wexner. Okay, here's the face of the name. He is a billionaire, co-founder and chairman of Bath & Body Works, Inc., formerly Limited Brands. He retained Jeffrey Epstein as his financial manager from 1987 to 2007. It was initially the main client of Epstein's money management firm, according to Bloomberg. So Epstein comes out of nowhere. He becomes a billionaire. Nobody knows how he became a fucking billionaire. And it is because this guy, Les Wexner, was his main financier. Now, it gets better. Who is Epstein's girlfriend? This girl right here, Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay? She was his right hand, right? But that's just scratching the surface. Who actually helped him with getting some of these girls? I'll tell you, Jean-Luc Brunel, this guy right here, okay? No one ever talks about this dude. But Brunel and Wexner are the two names that a lot of people forget to mention. Shout out to Ryan Dawson. We did a whole broadcast on this, but I'm summarizing it for you guys. Jean-Luc Brunel, right? Basically, he was a model scout for both of-age girls and underage girls. He was the one that got Epstein the girls. So, first it started with Epstein would have his girls in Palm Beach and El Brillo Way, right? Where I showed you guys earlier, this location right here, right? Then, once he started going to these big parties and meeting these people who he met through who? Ghislaine Maxwell, because she had a seat at the UN talking about, the ocean and nature and preserving the ocean, etc. She met a lot of powerful people at the UN. So she would meet these people and then go to these parties and bring Jeffrey Epstein with her. And Jeffrey Epstein would have girls with him that Jean-Luc Brunel gave him access to. And where were these girls typically from? Well, they were from Victoria's Secret, because your boy Les Wexner owned Victoria's Secret. All right? So you got this billionaire Wexner who owns Victoria's Secret. Then you got Brunel, who's the model recruiter for Victoria's Secret. So they are able to give Epstein an army of women to go with him to these parties that Ghislaine Maxwell was able to frequent and be invited to with powerful politicians and people of influence. You guys tracking here? Now, once Epstein got access to these parties, he would have these women there. Everyone wanted to know who the fuck this guy was. Who is this random billionaire, right, that's at these parties with these beautiful women? I want to get to know this guy. So what did they do? They'd meet Epstein, they'd meet Ghislaine Maxwell, or she would introduce Epstein to these individuals, because remember, she has the power of connections. Then Epstein would be like, hey man, you enjoy you like these girls here? You should hang out with me sometime. I got an island, I got all these cool properties, which he has this place here in Palm Beach. He has this fucking island in the Virgin Islands. He has the Zorro Ranch in New Mexico. He has this beautiful fucking penthouse in New York City, 9 East 71st Street in New York, like $70 million, right? He has all these really extravagant properties. And then he also has a place in fucking Paris. Nigga was balling, right? So everyone thinks, okay, he's here with hot girls. He's here with Ghislaine Maxwell. He has a bunch of money. Les Wexner backs him, right? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to these parties and hang out with this guy. Or I'm going to go hang out with him when he invites me. Oh, by the way, I got a private jet called they called it the Lolita Express. And that's how you end up with these flight logs. So then he brings them to Palm Beach. He brings them to Paris. He brings them to New Mexico. He brings them to the island in the Virgin Islands, right? And then they show up. And who's there? Remember those girls I mentioned before that are underage that give them massages? They're fucking there. And next thing you know, gotcha, bitch. And he got some. Now they're compromised. They got a massage from an underage girl or some other sexual favor from an underage girl. Now he got some. Now they got to do what he says. And now that they got to do what he says, like a Bill Gates, what does he do? You're compromised. I need you to donate a bunch of money to MIT on my behalf. Then what that does is it gives Epstein access to the technology at MIT. What does he do with those secrets? Gives it back to fucking Israel. Okay? And that, my friends, is an overview of how the Epstein network works. Have girls that are underage, use a model recruiter to also get other girls that are underage that are models, but also have Victoria's Secret models, get financed by a billionaire, Les Wexner, infiltrate, build trust, compromise, profit. That's how the blackmail ring works. Give me ones in the chat if that makes sense.